She is never questioned. She has not done a town hall. She has not done a town hall in the congressional district in at least a decade. In fact, I think the last time she had to do one was back in 2016 when Tim Canova ran. He had a substantial amount of money. They had to do a TV
How much money did he have, Peter? How much money did Tim blow through? That's right. $4 million. He blew through $4 million on a congressional race in 2016.
Let me tell you something. If he had just $2 million and he spent it strictly on a ground game and nothing else, he would have won. Just as Jen would have won if we had $1 million and basically had another $500,000 to spend on the ground game, because that's where it's won. And you
it is. I can't help but thinking, like, if we ever had $4 million in either race, then I would be the congressperson in that district right now.
Well,
so he had so much money.
But here's the thing that you have to remember about Canova that I think is something we can't ignore, especially now because of one of the main reasons that you never, especially that first run when you were part of brand new Congress, and obviously a lot changed after October 7th, and we all know how things went this last go around. The point is, you were never given proper financial backing, because I do believe that while Canova had an advantage of kind of being the new kid on the block, Wasserman Schultz is public enemy number one, there was also something to be said about the fact that Canova was actually very pro-Israel.
Yeah.
And when you're very pro-Israel, yeah, oh, of course, because again,
David, why are you still watching him? This is what I don't understand. Do you hate watch Kyle? Because I stopped watching him years ago and you're left of me. So I don't understand why you watch him.
I think a lot of times people have a hard time accepting the fact that for many people, this is a career. This is why they do what they do. They're not just going to let it go. And it is what it is. But I want people to understand something about the Democratic Party and why it isn't just Wasserman Schultz, as I said, and it isn't just about Israel. There is a systemic problem within the Team Blue part of politics. And we saw this on Tuesday. Again, you know, we don't generally talk about elections, but we're going to talk about this particular election with Kat Abughazaleh.
Well, we had spoken about her. Well, you covered that alone, because I know I really have no interest in covering this girl. And now that she lost, she's irrelevant anyway. This is one of those where I say, don't name the food. It's like, it's not worthy for me to remember how to pronounce her name, because I'll never have to say it likely, you know, not because I'm being disrespectful, but I likely won't have to say it. So it's just, don't name the food.
When somebody says what they say regarding Ukraine and China, this is not oh, that was a gaffe. Oh, she shouldn't have said that. No. Do you know that this girl, Kat Abughazaleh, exactly.
It's awesome. That's what I'll say.
Do you know that this girl who was running for a congressional seat, supposedly as a populist progressive, hired a foreign policy expert for her campaign? What was that for? Why would you?
I would think that she's clearly trying to benefit the WCCC. I'm thinking that clearly somebody's trying to just profit off of her campaign.
If your answers are that bad when it comes to foreign policy, you do not get the benefit of the doubt. And then when I see everybody out there giving shit to Bushra because she wouldn't drop out of the race, what is the point of dropping out if the person you're going to get is just going to be a wolf in sheep's clothing that is going to do exactly what the corporate establishment wants? One congressional representative is not going to make the difference in whether or not you do anything about Israel. But here's what I will tell you. If you think it's just AIPAC, it's not.
No.
This is Daniel Biss after his win.
Her grandparents and their 2-year-old daughter and my mother in 1948. And at the same time, that the oppression of the Palestinian people is an unacceptable stain on the world and on the Jewish people as well, and has to be ended. There was a lot of pressure to move away from one or the other of those perspectives, and I was not willing to do it because that's not who I am. And that's not what this district is. This district understands nuance and wants someone who accepts the reality of competing, even contradictory sounding priorities and values and realities. Now, that point of view is not the point of view of AIPAC. AIPAC that spent an unbelievable amount of money, over $7 million, to try to buy this seat, to support the idea that we can't accept nuance, that we can't accept the reality of competing narratives, that we can't fight for justice for all, that we can't accept the very Jewish value that there is equal sacred dignity in every single life, and that every person has equal rights to self-determination and to justice. My friends, I'm going to go to Congress and fight for that very basic principle of self-determination.
This is so boring.
Talk about milquetoast.
I've already forgotten this guy. So this is who beat Abracadabra?
Yes.
Okay, so goody for him. And what is he going to win that seat, or is it
Yeah, he's got it. Judeo-Christian values, as he pointed out. Can you explain why liberal Zionism is just as bad?
Well, wait a minute. What do you mean? Judeo-Christian values is just typical Zio speak. What do you mean?
That's what I'm saying. That's what he said. I'm saying that he's a liberal Zio. He is.
Yeah, that's an oxymoron. That's an oxymoron. Basically, the concept of a liberal Zionist is that while they do support Palestinian self-determination, they still support the idea of a Jewish ethno-state. They just support, essentially, these are two-state solution people that are living in a la-la land delusional world that can never exist. And quite honestly, even if it could, it's still just wrong, because an ethno-state requires an ethno-cleanse. And we know that. So that's the point of why it's contradictory to be a liberal Zionist. Again, it's like Jews for Jesus.
To me, it's absolute lunacy. It is beyond lunacy that anyone at this point is defending the state of Israel thinking that it has the right to exist. It does not, and it's not going to, and you are just delaying the inevitable. But he's got a little bit more to say.
All right, this is boring. Okay.
Listen carefully.
Every single human being deserves anywhere else on this planet. And so, let me end this simply by saying, AIPAC found out the hard way. The 9th District is not for sale. So enough about AIPAC. May tonight be the last time I utter their name. This victory belongs to J Street. And they can defend J Street.
Okay, so for people who didn't hear what he said, what he's basically saying is, we just showed AIPAC and we just beat AIPAC. And then what he does is he credits the victory to the PAC and the organization that supported him, which is J Street. And J Street is a liberal Zionist organization. And at the end of the day, they support the state of Israel. I'm very, very familiar with the J Street people because they interviewed me when I ran the first time. And it was very clear to me that I was never getting an endorsement from them. So I didn't even try, but yeah.
What if anything is the difference between J Street and AIPAC? Because to me, all the pro-Israel lobby groups, they're all the same. There's just different.
Well, J Street isn't just a PAC, though. J Street is sort of like Jewish Voice for Peace in that it's a broad organization of people that they have different parts of it and different things they do. It isn't just a political PAC, but it is also a political PAC. But they support the candidates, but they are not okay technically with things that are oppressive to Palestinians, with the contradiction being the existence of the Jewish state by definition is oppressive to Palestinians. So that's the problem with liberal Zios. They don't understand the contradiction in their own belief.